With the new year right around the corner, as well as a certain sinful archetype making waves in OCG as well as TCG, it is time for the top 10 cards to be picking up before the year 2024. So let's get right into that list. And the first card we're going to be mentioning today is none other than Diabellstar, the Black Witch. Now, if you've been following any of the meta games over in OCG or TCG, you'll notice that Diabellstar, the Black Witch, has actually been seeing a ton of teching in a bunch of the top decks. Not only is it really good at generating its own resources off of the Sinful Spoil spell cards, but it has a ton of synergy with a bunch of the new archetypes coming out because of cards such as the original Sinful Spoils Snake Eye, which is also number 2 on today's list. We're seeing Diabellstar as well as the Sinful Spoil teching in a bunch of the meta decks. Not only do we see it in Rescue Ace, but over in the OCG, we're actually seeing a ton of play with cards such as Snake Eye because they have their little level 1 Fire Papalis over available to them, and then we also see them actually being teched in decks such as Fire King. So we're seeing a bunch of fire decks teching the Diabellstar as well as the Snake Eye Sinful Spoil and seeing a bunch of success over in the OCG. And honestly, we're going to be seeing that coming here in the TCG as well. So it is time to be picking up not only the Diabellstar, but also the Snake Eye Sinful Spoil spell card. Next up on the list, and kind of following suit with that fire support, we have Reasoning as well as Monster Gate for number 3 and 4. And that's because we see Infernoids are getting support over in the OCG, as well as being splashed with the Sinful Spoil archetype. Okay, so not only are you having searchers for the Decatron, but you are seeing things such as new fusions being released over in the OCG for Infernoids, and they also have Reasoning and Monster Gate way past 1 over there. So it is not crazy to think that in the TCG, with the release of Terminal World, that Reasoning or Monster Gate, potentially both, could go past 1 in the TCG to nudge a little extra support in the direction of Infernoids. And if that's the case, you definitely want to have some of your copies before that happens, especially some of the pretty ones of Reasoning that just came out in the Rarity Collection. Number 5 on today's list is actually a side deck card that we're seeing teched a little bit more than not, and that is AntiSpell Fragrance. Now, AntiSpell Fragrance has been seeing more and more play ever since we had Imperial Order over in the TCG. Players are realizing, wait a minute, if I extend my board and just bring out a bunch of interruptions, flip AntiSpell Fragrance, I'm stopping my opponent from having outs, I'm stopping them from searching, from drawing. Honestly, all your tools and all your support cards are pretty much dead in the water with the AntiSpell Fragrance. So we're seeing players start to side deck that for going first, knowing that it's going to be quite the advantage once they flip up the AntiSpell Fragrance. Kind of following suit, number 6 on today's list is Summon Limit. And again, we have been seeing Summon Limit being teched and side decked in plenty of decks, especially builds such as Pearly, where they can kind of extend their board, flip up the Summon Limit on the opponent's board, and just kind of restrict them from going into anything they have to worry about right then and there, unless they immediately have an out for the Summon Limit. And decks such as Pearly could even spin the Summon Limit to rid it off the board so they could extend on their following turn as well, kind of keeping it into that 1 turn lock. So Summon Limit, and again, out of the newest Rarity Collection in multiple rarities, is something to be looking into going into the year 2024. Now for this next one, I gotta get something special. I gotta get my hater shades. And now, that's because when I bring this up, I always get the hate. You can always feel it. You gotta have the hater shade. That's why all the logos got the shades on. Gotta keep it cool. Gotta keep it cool. But we're here because number 7 and number 8 just get the heat, and that's because number 7 is Called by the Grave. Now, you're going to need Called by the Grave because number 8 is Maxi. Now, I get it. I can feel it. I really can feel it, guys. Oh, it's coming in hot. But that's because with that Rarity Collection, we did not get that 80th card, which was Maxi. Now, call me crazy, but just like that Trap Trick Structure deck when I said, we're not getting it because they're not going to give it to us like that. They're going to make us earn it. They're going to make us eye it again and again. So instead of giving it to us right then and there, it'd be easier just, you know, having it come out as a Quarter Century Secret or Starlight in 2024 in a pack. And I know that would upset some people, and that's why I'm not saying Maxie's gonna be coming off the list this set. This is definitely not me saying that. Okay, I don't think it would. That'd be a punch in the gut to not have it in the rarity collection and then unban it. I don't think they would do that. But I think you want to be on the better end of this and have a few copies for yourself and Called by the Grave on the off chance they go a little Konami. Next up on the list is Evenly Matched, and again, a ton of side deckage and even attacked main deck evenly. We are seeing, because of access to it with Thrust, this card's consistency is out of hand. So honestly, if you're in a duel, you need to be getting ready to get evenly, is what I'm going for. Okay, so Evenly Matched over in OCG, over in TCG, a bunch of decks that are topping and winning. If you're looking in their sides or even in their mains, evenly is a staple. And again, with the rarity collection, more beautiful than ever. And last up on today's list, before we go to the notable mentions, is Triple Tactics Talent. And now, we've been seeing talent has been just insane in the metagame. Whether you go first, whether you go second, talent is in all the decks that are topping and winning, whether in OCG or TCG. And with it being reprinted and definitely available in the rarity collection, this is definitely the time for the budget players to be picking them up and at least having some available going into the year 2024. Now, that is the top 10 cards to be picking up to go into 2024, but as always, we gotta have a few notable mentions. First on the list of notable mentions, and honestly, a one that is in my heart 100,000,000%, is Ghost Trick Angel of Mischief. Not only is it the boss monster of the greatest archetype in Yu-Gi-Oh, but it has actually been seeing a ton of tech, especially in some of the OCG Master Duel decks, but definitely could be utilized in the TCG as well. And that's because whether you're running a rank 1, rank 2, or rank 3 deck, and we've actually were seeing it with the Ghost Trick Pearly, so you can actually go into your rank 1, overlay that into the Ghost Trick Angel of Mischief, use the Mischief to detach the Ghost Trick Exceed you just built on top of to search yourself the Ghost Trick Shot. Then you can use Shot to revive the detached Exceed that you literally just got rid of, to then overlay into a second Mischief, which then can search for another Ghost Trick spell trap from the deck, and a lot of players have been using Renovation at that point. And then you can take the two Mischiefs, overlay them into the Utopic Future, and then overlay that right into the Utopic Draco. And if you're asking what the Renovation is for, well, with certain decks such as Pearly, you can pitch them early on with your Pearly spells, and you actually use them to overlay So Cute Boss on top of one of your Ghost Trick monsters to have a little spot removal, then go right into the Mischief and proceed with the Utopic Draco play. So that is why I would definitely say, if you're not familiar or utilizing the Ghost Trick combo, that is something to look into. After that, we're seeing that Change of Heart and Mind Control are potential cards that could be eventually coming off the limited list, and I think Konami wanting to boost up going second cards, that is a potential. So I would just say, with all the pretty Change of Hearts floating around, definitely grab a few copies on the off chance that happens. And then last on today's list, and kind of a no-brainer, but it's if you're able to, SP Little Knight. It's expensive, it's crazy, it's nutty, but with the format that we're going into, Little Knight is just getting better and better, and with everyone using the Charmers to go right into it, or if not just the IP in general, Little Knight is going to stay on top for this rotation. And honestly, if anything's going to happen, it's going to have a very hefty price, and then an even heftier Ultimate Rare reprint price if they end up slapping this thing in an OTS ulti. But guys, that is the top 10 cards to pick up for 2024. So as always, if you got anything from the video, do smash that subscribe button. If you want to see more cards, definitely comment them down below. We have some videos flashing up, but as always guys, stay safe, have yourselves a wonderful evening, and suck it, nerds.